Well, it's Tuesday, and you all know what that means. As you know, NXT are only 2 weeks away until its debut at the CW network. So, this is going to be huge what's going to happen. But, however, a lot of things have happened in NXT. As you all know, CM Punk made his first appearance there. Never been part of the brand, but he had something announced, and there's a lot of things that also took place throughout the entirety of the event, and not to mention we have the contract signing for the NXT Championship match. But first things first, we're going to be reviewing Tokyo Joshi Pro Wrestling's much recent event from early this month, Always Be a Challenger, which of course this one features the main event, the International Princess Championship defendant. Yuki Arai defends her belt against one half of the tag team champions, Arisu Endo. So we're going to see how that rolls up. And then, of course, we cap up this episode with some news updates to give you guys update on what's been happening in the world of pro wrestling, such as what events the promotions are throwing out, who's booked, what matches are set, including developments that are happening in the world of pro wrestling as we speak. So, let's get ready for another episode of Deleted Wrestle Zone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Hey everyone, welcome to Deleted Wrestle Zone, all things that is pro wrestling with AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, TNA, the National Wrestling Alliance, various promotions, wrestlers, matches, and championships. I am your host, J Rod here. So, if you are new to the channel, welcome. This is a channel where we do a lot of pro wrestling reviews from various promotions, not only here in the United States, but also in Japan, Mexico, Canada, Europe, the UK, anywhere in the world where pro wrestling is not as big, but it continues to grow. We also do discussion videos, talk about various topics such as the wrestlers themselves, the promotions, factions, storylines, whatever we want to talk about. We also, of course, do more news updates. If certain information was unable to be on this episode, I can either put it on the next episode or on a separate video by itself. We also, of course, do real timing news updates to keep you guys on alert if something has happened in the world of pro wrestling that needs to be addressed ASAP. We also, of course, got the Unagi Sayaka watch and various other cool wrestling content as well. So if you like what you see, please subscribe to us or click on that subscribe button. You'll be getting a lot of daily reviews and other cool wrestling content as well. But if you like this episode, please give us a like on the like button or a nice comment in the description down below. Now, all introductions have set aside. It's time to burn rubber. So let's begin with our very first review, and this is from the Joshi promotion, Tokyo Joshi Pro Wrestling. Alrighty then. So, Tokyo Joshi Pro Wrestling, always be a challenger. This one, of course, has only one championship match, and that is the International Championship match. But we'll get to that in a bit. Now, as always, we have Sarui and Namba doing the opening, and of course, the Up Up Girls do their thing by performing. To be fair, I don't know what song they were playing, but that's pretty much it. Now, our first match, we have Kira Summer versus Toga. Now, of course, Toga has a bit more experience than Kira, but that don't excuse me, don't underestimate the fact that Toga, she is tall, you know, that her size has been the definitive factor. But it was her to use, I'm not sure if it was a sidewalk slam or something that allowed her to pick up the win, but it was a good one. Now, it's not one of the bigger wins, but she's getting there. Now, our next match, we have a three-way. We have Imawari versus the apologetic Mahiro Kiru, and of course, she loves trains, Raku. Yep. So you probably ask yourselves exactly how this was going to go. Well, there are many ways. I mean, look, there is common factors. Raku, do not underestimate her due to the fact that if she sings a lullaby, you'll fall asleep. But of course, the mistake was Kiru trusted Hiwamari for some odd reason, thinking they can get rid of Raku, but it did not do any justice for both of them because it was Raku who walked up as the winner when she pinned Imawari, and just like that, she wins. So I guess now they know, don't underestimate Raku. Now, our next match, we have tag team action. We have Chika Manaze teaming up with Wakana Uehara versus Pam Harajuku and, of course, Yuki Kamifuku. So, nothing too significant of this match. I mean, it pretty much sets it itself that, Manaze, who has much of the lesser experience than everybody else in the ring, she was the one who ended up taking the fall when, of course, Yuki Kamifuku applied the famouser, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, good night. Next up, we have Kaya Toribami teaming up with Moka Miyamoto to take on Yuki Aino and Rika Tatsumi. So basically, I don't know what the significance of this match, but however, I would like to think that, as you know, Yuki Aino, who in fact, in my opinion, she could have won the Princess Cup tournament, but it didn't. I'm sure she's going to bounce back to make her way to that title. I'm sure it's only a matter of time until she does. But it was her who picked up the win when she applied a implanted DDT onto, who was it that got the DDT? Oh yeah, on Kaya Toribami, and just like that. But as I said, I hope she does make her way back to that, and we'll get to there at some point. Our next match, we have a 6-woman tag match. We have Uda Takami, Shino Suzuki, and of course Mizuki taking on Haru Kazushiro, Runa Okubu, and of course the Pink Striker Miyu Yamashita. So of course there was going to be a lot of variables on this one. I mean, we know we have from both sides there are 2 former champions. That plays out pretty well, but it was Yamashita who picked up the win onto Suzuki, and just like that, it was over. Ugh. Excuse me. Now, our next match, we have tag team action. We have Yoshiko Hasegawa teaming up with Shoko Nakajima. They face against Zumi, one half of the current Princess Tag Team Champions, versus the Princess of Princess Champion, Miyu Watanabe. So there was going to be a lot of factors here. Now, remember, as you all know, Zuzumi and Miyu Watanabe are currently at the top of their game because of the respective championship they currently held. So that kind of will play out. But it was, of course, Miyu Watanabe with the submission move onto Hasegawa, forcing her to tap. So pretty much that's where it leads. Now our main event is the International Princess Championship. Yuki Arai defends her belt against the other half of the Princess Tag Team Champions, Arisu Endo. Now, to be honest with you, this was a good opportunity because we have seen Arisu Endo has grown so much, not only when she's a tag team, but also as an individual wrestler. So basically, she is willing to gamble herself to take a chance against, of course, the current International Princess Champion. So that pretty much sets it up right there. But of course, Yuki Arai has been a very impressive, not afraid to take any challenge, no matter if they're big or small. But unfortunately, Arisu Endo was unsuccessful when, of course, Yuki applied the finally, and just like that, it was over. She retained the belt. And then, of course, there was a bit of a small promo. But however, the next challenger stepped up again to challenge Yuki Arai for the International Princess title, and that person is Moka Miyamoto. Now, I cannot remember if she already challenged for this belt, but this is something going to be very interesting to see. So no date has been announced yet. I wouldn't be surprised if they put it at Wrestle Princess, but we'll just wait and see. But for now, we'll just leave things as it is and move on with our last and final review, NXT. Okay, NXT. As I said before, we're only 2 weeks away till they make their CW debut in Chicago, which is, of course, how you say CM Punk country. But however, a lot of things have intensified throughout this entirety of the show. However, it opened up with, of course, Ava Reigns and, oh, should I say just Ava, our general manager, was intending to get the contract signing between both Trick Williams and Ethan Page, but of course, Ethan Page's ego is getting out of control. He decided to put Trick Williams through the table in hopes he doesn't make it to Chicago. But we'll get to the entirety of what's been taking place. However, let's talk about our first match we have. We have the reunited of Tatum Paxley and Lyra Valkyria taking on the most psychotic duo ever, Wendy Chu and Rosemary. Now remember, Wendy Chu choked out Tatum Paxley in hopes they can become friends, but Wendy Chu chose a different friend, but not in NXT, but in TNA. However, the match was pretty good. I have to say that Tatum Paxley and Lyra Valkyria haven't missed a beat, but they were able to pick up the win, all thanks to a leg drop by Valkyria to Rosemary. 1, 2, 3. It's over. Now, the No Quarter Catch Crew, as you know, are back in full force with the return of Tavion Heights from his Pro Wrestling Noah tour for the N1 victory. It seems now that, of course, now that they regain the Heritage Cup back into No Quarter Catch Crew, their next target is the NXT Tag Team title. So Miles Bourne and Tavion Heights have their sights set on that. But however, of course, what about Ren? But Charlie Dempsey told her that she needs to make a statement on her own. So she'll do that, but we'll get to that. Now, last week we saw Tony D'Angelo hired Alex Hammerstone to do a job to take out Obafemi, but it didn't do any favors for no one. Not to mention, so Tony D'Angelo decided to take matters into his own hands with Hammerstone. You would think that he would teach him a lesson, but however, things did not go according to him. He just immediately paused and walked out, but leaving the entirety of the D'Angelo family, stunned. Like, what the hell, man? What's wrong with you? So they had no clue. So that becomes very, very interesting how they're telling the story. But apparently this match in a count out. So basically Hammerstone won out by count out. You can say it's a pity or a pity victory for Hammerstone, but we'll see where they go from there. Now, Zachary Wentz showed up, and apparently he showed the video on what happened to Trey Miguel, like the circumstances of them missing out a chance for the NXT Tag Team titles. It shows, of course, in Dayton, Ohio, Trey Miguel was leaving wherever he was, and he was viciously attacked by Wes Lee. So sooner or later, of course, they will deal with each other at the street fight in Chicago. So we'll see what happens until then. Now, because of the situation that happened earlier for the contract signing, Ava decided to had a little chat with Tyrese Halliburton, and apparently he said he's going to handle the whole contract signing himself. So basically, he volunteered. So we'll see where that goes from there. Now, of course, we see an interview with Sarah conducting to Fatal Influence. Apparently, Fatal Influence once again acting like they are they think they're at the top of the game. Their targets are Lola and Jada Parker because, as you know, they're calling them rookies due to the fact that, they view them as like, you guys don't have wrestling experience. You're ashamed. You guys are a disgrace to that. So that was the whole point of the whole thing. And of course, Lola Vice and Jada Parker saw the interview. They didn't take that too kindly. But Lola Vice had unfinished business with Jay-Z Jane. So we'll see what happens. Now, our next match, we have Ashante D. Adonis taking on Eddie Thorpe. Now, as you know, Adonis acting like he's a player and all that, trying to hook up with the ladies in the locker room, but it did not go any veil. But it was Eddie Thorpe who took matters into his hands to deal with them, and it ended with, of course, Eddie Thorpe applying an implant DDT. Just like that, it was over. Now, Chase U, as you know, are dealing with the suffering of what's been happening with Rich Holland turning on them, dismantling Professor Chase, and then Duke, and then, of course, Riley Osborne, who is next. So, but of course, Rich Holland said that he will deal with Riley Osborne soon enough. Now, we did see CM Punk. He was about to do a promo. I don't know. He said that he's never been in the NXT brand before. But however, he was interrupted by Roxanne Perez, who's been unhinged ever since. Now, those who don't know what I mean, you probably can guess. She's unhinged because she is sick and tired of people talking about Julia. So basically, in her mind, she thinks CM Punk was here to talk about her. But unfortunately for Roxanne Perez, for being a snot-nosed brat, CM Punk put her in her place, told her that you're not going to get anywhere with that attitude. Because Punk wasn't there to talk about Julia. He was there for some other reason. But, of course, Julia showed up. So the real question does tell. Is Roxanne afraid? She claims she's not afraid. She even tried to take out Julia, but Punk stopped her. So, basically, you can tell Roxanne is afraid of Julia. Even though she does not want to admit it. But we'll see where that goes there. Now, as you know, the D'Angelo family are basically shocked of what happened with Tony D walking out during his match. So, the Don of NXT admits to everyone, because he was unable to defeat Obafemi, he admits that he was afraid. So, that kind of puts it in. Someone pointed out that this kind of reminds them a little bit of the whole thing with Rocky 3 or something. I don't know, but we'll see where that goes from there. Now, No Cord Catch Crew had a tag team match. We have Miles Bourne and Tavian Heights taking on Javon Evans and Cedric Alexander. Now, of course, the factor is that No Cord Catch Crew has Ren Sinclair and Charlie Dempsey in the corner. But, however, because of that, there was a moment of an earlier interview with Kalani Jordan. She got bitch slapped by Ren Sinclair. She tried to do one of those old-fashioned, where I challenge you to a duel in the slap. So basically, that was it. That was a big mistake by Ren Sinclair. But because of that distraction, it did allow for Javon Evans and Cedric Alexander to pick up the win when he actually applied that high-flying jump onto Bourne, and just like that, it was over. But however, Javon Evans got a very interesting tweet coming from Randy Orton, so there's going to be a match between those two in Chicago. So that's going to be a lot of fun. Now, our next match, we have Brooks Jensen versus Dion Lennox. Now, Dion Lennox was not afraid to tell the truth that of course, Shawn Spears has been gaslighting Brooks Jensen, but of course, Brooks Jensen is trying to, Shawn Spears is trying to tell him that everybody are not his friend. So that included Dion Lennox, but how unfortunately, this match ended with Brooks Jensen applying a DDT and winning the match. Now, of course, our next match, we have Jay-Z Jane taking on Lola Vice. Well, of course, the Fatal Influence were going to get involved one way or the other, but it did not do any good for them because, of course, Lola Vice handled her business, and not to mention do the back fist on Jay-Z Jane, winning the match. But unfortunately, it became a 3-on-1 scenario, but Jada Parker showed up. However, she is still unhinged between both Lola Vice, knowing too well that this has gone out of control. So we'll see where that goes from there. Now, before we jump into the NXT contract signing, Andrea Rizzo decided to confront Tony D'Angelo about what he said, trying to reason with him. And I feel that she kind of got him out of it, like trying to show him that it's okay to be afraid. So that she said that she's going to help him to get through it, knowing too well that yes, Obafemi is a strong competitor, so he has to admit that that's the case. But we'll see where that leads. Now, of course, for the NXT title contract signing, we have Tyrell Haltenburn showed up. He called out Trick Williams and Eagle Page. Well, apparently things were becoming clear. Of course, they had to say what they had to say, and then Haltenburn actually said that there was one more thing, and that thing was none other than CM Punk. Now, There was a reason why he was interrupted by Roxanne Perez because, as I said, Roxanne Perez was unhinged because she cannot take the fact people are talking about Julia. Well, CM Punk wasn't there for that. So he was said that they need something special between both Trick Williams and Ethan Page for their title match, and that thing is special guest referee. So CM Punk volunteered. So this is going to be another interesting thing. So that's something we're definitely going to be watching. So can't wait to see it. So be ready for their debut at the CW. But right now, let's end things right here and move on with news updates. Okay, so welcome to our news update. So this is what we have for all of you. Now, majority of it is the upcoming events themselves, and we only have one development. Now, as we always start with the GCW stuff, which all compiles in our upcoming events. As you know, on the 21st of September, they will be in Hartford, Connecticut for back to back. There's going to be a lumberjack match between Mance Warner and Joey Janela. And then, of course, they had that 2-night show in Atlantic City Fight Club. It was announced that on night 1, the Art of War Games will be on, and battle lines have been drawn. Now, on team number 1, we have Matt Cardona, Mance Warner, Broski Jimmy, and a mysterious partner versus Effie, Janela, Megasis, and, of course, Mander. So that's going to be it. The Nick Gage Invitational 9 that will take place in Orlando on the 16th of November. A fifth name has been added, and that is Dr. Redacted. And then finally, they'll be making their return to Rochester, New York on January 10th, 2025 at the Water Street Music Hall. Now, Sendai Girls will be returning back to Shinjuku Face. They have an event there, and apparently we have Stardom talent that will be participating. We have the members of Hate, more consistently Ruaka and Momo Watanabe versus Dash Shizako and Hiroyi Matsumoto. Now remember, Momo was in a match recently with Dash saying that she thinks she is the expert of hardcore. Yeah, right. But we'll see how that goes. Now, as you know, RevPro has their annual British J Cup. Another name has been announced that happened on September 28th, and that is, of course, one half of Top Flight. Dante Martin will be involved, so that's going to be great. House of Glory on the 28th as well of September will have the Believe in Glory. Joe Hendry will face the debut of Joey Janela, so that's going to be interesting to watch. And then, of course, West Coast Pro for that thing that should not be on the 11th of October. Vinny Vasario will be there too. And then, of course, the 13th of October for Black Label Pro Fantasy Wrestling, Shaza McKenzie versus Izzy Moreno. Kota Ibushi has been announced that he will participate in 2 events with DDT Pro Wrestling. The first one is going to be the Beer Garden Tour on the 17th of October, and then, of course, the Corkin Hall event on October 20th. Spanish promotion, RCW Spain, has announced the return of the RCW World Cup. It's a 2-day event that will take place in Barcelona on the 8th and 9th of November, and they just announced one of the Queens of Death matches, Risa Serra, will be making her debut. So that's going to be a lot of fun. And then, of course, up ahead of their World Series Wrestling, they announced for the Legacy tour that will take place between March 28th to the 31st. Ash by Elegance will be involved as well that one. Now, for our only development, now, as you all know, recently Nikki Bella was involved in a domestic violence abuse by her soon-to-be ex-husband, Artem, and of course she filed for divorce and also filed for full custody of their son, 4-year-old son Mateo. However, Artem has filed a pursuit of joint custody of their son. Now, I know some people will trash talk about this. I know we have some Nikki haters. We have, all this. But just be frank, guys, okay? Look, you don't know this woman. You only know her as a wrestler on WWE. That's all you know. But you don't know personally. Me, on the other hand, I don't like guys that beat up their wives because they're full of crap. Now, what Artem did was inexcusable. He should not done what he did. He Sure, I understand he was frustrated that he is not being picked up for Dancing with the Stars again, but he did not have the right to go out and beat up Nikki just because he didn't do that. I'm sure Nikki would have, how do I say, give him comfort and consult him to try to help him get back on his feet after not being picked up. But nope, he decided, I'm going to beat my wife up. But he brought this mess to himself. Now, Nikki, in my opinion, does have a right to have full custody of her son because you don't know what this guy is. Because here's the thing: in the years these two have been together, did Nikki Bella actually knew what Arden was gonna do? And I have that feeling in that she's probably worried. Okay, let's say they do have joint custody. How do we know that he won't control his temper again? How do we know he won't hurt her son? And I think every mother has a right to think what's best for their son. And I don't hold it against her. So I would say, guys, don't trash talk her. Understand the situation. You don't you you don't know her completely, but we do understand in a situation like this, she needs support from that. So I think that's what I'm gonna put out for all of you. But until then, that's all I have, and we'll just call it a day. Well, I hope everybody enjoys this episode. Coming up, as you know, we have AEW Dynamite. I think we might be 1 week away before we get to Grand Slam, but we'll see how things will progress. A lot of things are going to happen for this entire time, so we'll just see. I haven't decided yet what other events I will be, of course, reviewing, so we'll just have to wait and see. So I'm just going to wing it. But until then, I will see you guys in the next DWZ time, same DWZ channel. I must bid all of you adieu. So, goodbye, and have a nice day. Bang.